Hey guys, welcome back to another week of Ticket Tuesday. I'm your host, Jordan HD. So yeah, this is going to be a great time. Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Ticket Tuesday. I'm your host, Jordan HD, and today we watched Air. This movie is about the production or the creation of the Air Jordan shoe, which I bet you've heard of. And it is, about when Michael Jordan was a rookie and when the Nike found him and they were struggling because they were the lowest shoe, basketball shoe at the time. They went from being lowest to the highest. They bought one of their competitors, and that is one hell of a revenge story and a rising up story. And they're still the top shoe, which it's well, maybe I didn't do my research, but I can just assume. Cut that out if it's not true. But this film was great all the way through. It was very engaging, and it was I think it told the story very well. From my perspective, maybe I should do more research, but I think the story was told very well. And I just thought it was, I rooted for them. I wanted them to get Michael to sign it, and it was very satisfying by the end when he did. But before I go on rambling, I'll tell you guys why I enjoyed this movie and more back at the house.
What's the plan? We build a shoe line around just him.
I need the greatest basketball shoe that's ever been made.
Who's the player?
Michael Jordan.
Your motor is
You have our attention.
tonight. You show up at the house.
I believe in your son. I believe he's the future.
And his story is gonna make us want to fly. But a shoe is just a shoe.
Until my son steps into it.
Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Ticket Tuesday. I'm your host, and today we watched Air. And Air is the new film made by Ben Affleck and Matt Damon. Maybe not made by, but they produced it at least. This film is about the production and creation of the Air Jordan basketball shoes. I bet you've heard of them. If you haven't, you might be living under a rock. But, in case you don't know, actually, you know what? Just look it up. I don't think I need to explain what an Air Jordan shoe is. So, this movie is about how the shoes came to be, and how the end of the film, how it, the end explains what happened after the film's events with the real people that the actors played. And it was very enjoyable. I enjoyed myself all the way through. It was funny, it was emotional, but it was mainly, I think, pretty informative to a story I never really knew much about. I mean, obviously, I actually own not an actual original series of Generation 1 Jordans. I own, a reissue, from nowadays. But, yeah, there are some pretty nice shoes. But, not talking about the shoes, I think the movie was just very engaging. I think it told the story very well, and I think it was just very, very fun. The movie was fun, and as I said, informative. I learned a lot that I didn't know before. I've just known Nike as the top shoe company for a while now, Jordan mainly for the Jordans, but I never knew at one point that Adidas was the number one basketball shoe. I never knew that. And I never knew there was a rule where you had to wear all white on your shoe. I never knew that. You could only have a specific color. For a little bit, you had to have 25% maybe. You could only go minimum 25%. I think that was the rule. And if you went over that, you were fined. I think it was $5,000. Yeah, you were fined $5,000. And I never knew that. I always just thought that basketball let you wear any kind of shoe, the NBA let you wear any kind of shoe, but they don't. And that really surprised me. And they even, I think also another thing the Jordans did was they really let the NBA be more open with shoe colors, I don't think, nowadays they really care anymore. So, I'm gonna just, be really quick with this recap, or this, stories. Also, by the way, spoilers before I get to this, there's going to be major spoilers for this movie. You don't already know the story of the Air Jordans. I mean, obviously, you probably know the ending. I mean, the shoes get made because Air Jordans are real, and they exist. So you probably already know how the movie's going to end before you even see it. But still, if you don't want any spoilers, even though you probably already know what's going to happen, click off the video, do whatever, and go watch it, and then come back. Alright, you've been warned. Now to the plot synopsis. So basically, the main character, Matt Damon, or Sonny, as he's called in the movie, or as he's playing the real person of Sonny, who he was like a scouter. He scouted out players that Nike would sign, and shoe companies would sign players to wear their shoe and then give them endorsement, you know, and make them money, you know, make them money. But he's the basketball guru, you know, he goes to all these college games, and he gives out free Nike, and he, like, endorses certain college players, and he scouts, like, out players, and, originally, they were gonna pick some, like, they were looking at the draft picks for the NBA, at the time in 1984, and they were looking through the draft, and they were gonna pick some, like, random guy that was, like, pick 6 or something. He was, like, pick number 6 on the draft, and so originally, they were going to pick this guy, number 6. I can't quite remember. I think his name was Melvin, or something like that. I think his name was Melvin. I don't remember his last name. But, eventually, Matt Damon is, like, looking through all the tapes of, like, all the rookies that are on the draft, and he finds Jordan, and he finds a highlight clip of Jordan. I think he hits a 3. He hits a 3, and he just really, like, he, like, looks at it, and he sees something in Jordan, and he sees greatness. You know, he sees courage, he sees determination, and he sees that Jordan has the potential to be the greatest of all time. Well, yeah, I think that's what he says. And, yeah, he's, like, really pushing that he wants to sign Jordan. And he really wants to sign Jordan. And they're like, no, he's too expensive. He's way too expensive. I think he was like number 2, number 3 on the draft. He was a number 3 on the draft. And that's like a really good pick. You know, like you're really close. So, then, they're like, maybe we'll only sign Jordan. We'll give him all the $250K in the budget. Right? And he's like really pushing this idea. And he gives the idea of Jordan having his own line of shoes. The Air Jordans. And then it goes from there. He eventually goes to, was it Louisiana? Or was it Carolina? We went to Carolina to visit Michael Jordan's family to try and convince them to get, like, Jordan in a meeting with Nike. Because before that, Jordan had said he never wanted to get in a meeting with Nike. He never wanted to. He didn't care the circumstance. He would never get into a meeting with Nike. All right? At least that's one of the people in the movie said. But eventually he is able to persuade the mother, I think her name was Dolores Jordan. He convinces her to, if he is right, he predicts what the meetings with Adidas and Converse will be like. And if they go exactly like he says, they'll get Michael in a meeting with Nike. The meetings go exactly as he predicts, and they get in a meeting with Nike. And during the build up to the meeting, they make one shoe. They make the first prototype of the Air Jordan. They're designing it, and eventually they say it's too plain, it's too white. You know, it's too much white. You know, there's not enough red, and there's not enough Bulls colors. Right, because he was going to go to the Bulls. So eventually, they're like, I don't like it, you know, the design is too bland. And then he's like, well, there's a rule. You can't have more, like, colors. You can't have more colors on there because, you know, you'll be fined. And they're like, fuck it, we'll pay the fine. We need more red, right? And then they get the classic Gen 1, the Gen 1 look of the Jordan, of the Air Jordans, and they show it to Michael, in the meeting, and it really looks like it's not convincing Michael. Like, they show the video and everything, and it looks like he's not convinced. Until Sonny, like, just does a big speech out of nowhere. He just cuts into a speech saying that you are the greatest. And not saying you have the potential, you will be the greatest. You will have adversity, but you will make it. You will be able to go through, and you will make an impact. You will be remembered forever. You will be a legend. You will be an all-time great in basketball, and we know it. You know it, right? And he's just doing this whole speech about how, you know, all the people in this room will be forgotten, but you'll never be forgotten, right? And he's just really hammering home how great Jordan is, and how not only him joining Nike will help him, it'll help them too. It'll help everybody. And he's like really going, and then like there's build up, and you don't know if he's taking it, and then you hear that Adidas, they're gonna give him a red Mercedes, and they established earlier that Michael Jordan really wants a red Mercedes, and he'll sign with a company that gives him a red Mercedes. So Adidas is gonna give him a red Mercedes, and you think all hope is lost, and not really, because the shoes are still gonna be made. But like the movie, like it's like the big, oh no, we're not gonna get the deal moment. Like, you know, there's like a big, like, oh no moment. But then Dolores calls Sonny, and she's like, we're going to sign with Nike on one condition. Michael gets a cut of the money made on his shoe, on the shoe with his name on it. And eventually, like, Sonny's like, no, we can't do that. That's not how the business works. You know, I understand where you're coming from, but like, it can't be done. You know, it's like too complicated. You know, we can't. It's not how it works. And eventually, he goes up to Ben Affleck, who plays the CEO of the company, and he's like, hey, I'm sorry, but they're gonna sign with Adidas. I mean, Michael wants a cut of the money, and it's like, we can't do that. And then Ben Affleck just goes, fuck it, let's do it, you know. And he's just saying, basically, because earlier on in the movie, Matt Damon said that you gotta make risks to like truly build a company. You gotta take risks. And this was a risk that he needed to take to build the company for the better, and it did. So eventually he took the risk, and they were willing to give Michael a cut of the money, and it ends on a pretty happy note. Well, a happy note because Jordan made his money. Nike made a shit ton of money. Every year they have $4 billion in sales annually. It's a fuck ton of money. Jordan makes like $400 million a year just on Jordan shoe sales because of his share of the money. And like, it shows all the things that the people in the movie that the actors played like did after the events that the movie portrayed. There was also an agent in the movie. Sonny had an agent who was a real person, apparently, I think. He was a real person. And, like, there was a line he says, you know what, I'm going to be dining alone, but I'll be dining rich. Right? And then it says, later on, I think it said, like, something. He sold his company for $100 million, and that night he was seen dining alone. That was a funny line, and I liked it. But, yeah. Most of the guys that helped make the shoe really contributed to you know, to basketball. They really helped. A lot of them did, or they like made an impact other than just making Jordans. You know, which is nice. You know, I like that. Obviously Michael Jordan, the greatest basketball player of all time, and like said by people to be the best competitive athlete of all time. Of course, he definitely made an impact. He's probably one of the most recognizable athletes of all time, and he deserves his due. I mean, he says he's the best, and he has a reason to say that, because he is. You know, it's just fact that he's the best. And I don't know if anybody will ever reach his level again. You know, it's truly amazing what he was in his prime. Like, he was unstoppable. Like, literally a fucking god on the court. But hey, I think I need to watch more of his games, because, man, could that dude play. But anyway, as I was saying, kind of got off track and went on a rant about how good Michael Jordan is. But, yeah. So I thought, you know, the movie was obviously great. I think it told the story well, and I just really, really liked it. I think it was very funny. It was very fun. It was pretty fast-paced, even though I think it was a 2-hour movie. Was it 2 hours? Like, around that time. It didn't feel like 2 hours. It felt like 90 minutes. It felt really short. I also think that maybe not characters, because they're real people, but they're actors portraying real people. I think their writing was pretty good. I think their conversations felt pretty real. I liked the process of them making the shoe, like drawing up the design and then coming up with the name and convincing Ben Affleck that they should do it, that they should go on with the idea, and meeting with Michael Jordan. I thought that was done very well. I really liked the jokes. Most of them made me laugh. And honestly, I think the movie was shot pretty well. I think there was one scene I had a problem with where it was just kind of like the focus was kind of like fucking up on the camera. Like, I didn't even know, like, it was going in and out of focus, and it was kind of struggling there. That was the only scene where it was prevalent, but it was like kind of like one character would talk, then it would focus on them, then another character would talk, and it would focus on them. And sometimes, like, the camera would struggle a bit, and it would just go blurry for a little, like, a second or two. But I don't know, maybe that's just a bit of a nitpick, but I don't know, that kind of was a little distracting. But, not too much to rip me out of the movie or anything, just a little too noticeable. But yeah, it's basically the only, like, major problem I had with the movie. But yeah, very, very enjoyable. And if you're a basketball fan, if you're like a sneakerhead or anything like that, if you really are just into shoes or into basketball, I think I'd highly recommend this film, because it is very engaging. And for me, who's fairly new to basketball, I still found it very, very fun, very interesting, and just a very great movie to watch. You know, I honestly wished I'd brought some people that were, like, knowledgeable about basketball to it, because I think that would also been fun, because they probably would have pointed out some, like, things that I wouldn't have noticed, you know, because I bet the film was very enriched in the culture of basketball. Maybe not enriched in the culture of basketball, but it had a lot of basketball references in the 80s. You know, there was Larry Bird, Magic Johnson, you know, stuff like that. Like a lot of the 80s greats, you know, maybe not just 80s greats, they're still, like, all-time greats, but, yeah. I just kind of wish, there was also some names that I didn't recognize that I kind of wished I did, or some I kind of recognized. I don't know, kind of going on rambling here, but anyway, if you like basketball, or if you just like shoes in general, I think you will very much enjoy this film, and I recommend it. Even if you're, like, iffy about those two things, I think you'll still get some enjoyment out of this film. It's very enjoyable and fun, so I would recommend this film for just, you want to have a good time. Go out and watch it. And, no, I think I'd rate this film like a 7.5. Great job. But, yeah. You know, guys, I think I've said all I need to say. I think I'm 7 piece. So, guys, hope you like this video. Hope you share with friends. Subscribe, turn notifications on. Comment down below about how much you liked it. But, you know, this goes, I didn't really mean to say that. What I really meant to say was, hope you guys hated this video. Unsubscribe, dislike, tell me what you hate me in the comments. We're on Time HD. Signing off. Did I do it right?
Let me back up a little bit.